Welcome to the therapeutic class, or sorry, the intermediate class today. And our theme today is on taking steps. So when we're on a journey, we don't just leap from the beginning of that journey to the end of the journey. We obviously take steps along the way to get to where we're going. And the same thing is true in yoga practice. So when we're working towards maybe a goal of a certain posture or maybe a goal of spending time in meditation or whatever it is, we don't just start by doing the end goal, right? We work towards it. And I know for me in life, sometimes I get a little bit overwhelmed when I think about the whole picture or, some goal I have and where I want to go. And it's really helpful, just like in yoga, to break it down by tiny, tiny little steps. Each tiny step is bite-sized that you can do, right? So you're not going to go climb a mountain without training. Same idea. So each little step along the way eventually carries us towards our goal. Often I find that when I start taking steps toward a goal, just taking action, things start to fall into place. And often I might think I'm going in one direction, but life kind of has a way of rerouting sometimes those goals. So being open, being patient, all those qualities that help us to meet our goals in life can also help us on the mat as well. So we've been working over the last several weeks to find a safe and comfortable place that we can come back to in our practice and in life. And that's super important, but we don't grow, right? If we just stay comfortable and cocooned, we don't actually grow. So this week we're going to push ourselves a little bit and find our edges a little bit. And as I say that, I'm also really aware that it's so important to honor your own body. It's not pushing ourselves for the sake of pushing ourselves a little bit, but trying to meet our edges and trying to grow a little bit. But if we injure ourselves or we push too far, then it's going to take us backwards. All right, so we're going to start seated today. We'll do a little bit of seated, just getting ourselves centered and organized, and then our goal pose, or if we have a goal today, our goal pose, we're going to be working on a pose called Hanumanasana, or in English, that is the splits. Don't panic, we're not going to necessarily be doing the splits in our intermediate class today. But if you're able to, you're more than welcome to. But really, it's about taking each step along the way and finding patience and love with ourselves as we go. And so we'll start seated. You can sit in a chair on the ground, and I will see you there on the mat. All right. So getting comfortable, again, you can sit on a chair or the floor, you can be cross-legged as I am, or you can have your legs stretched out, whatever's comfortable for you. And the main thing is that you're comfortable and that you're not slumping as you're sitting. So the last several weeks, we have been, as I said, looking at different tools that we can use to help to regulate the nervous system or come back to a place of calm and ease when we get a little bit out of our window of tolerance, or when we get a little bit of stress is another way of saying it, or anxiety. It can bring these tools that we've been working with can bring us back into ourselves. So we'll start by reviewing some of that. And then today, as we go through the practice, if you feel overwhelmed, if you feel like it's too much, if you've taken, a step and gone too far, you can always come back to a comfortable position in your body. And you can always use some of these tools to help kind of bring you back to a place where you feel really comfortable and confident again. Right, so one of the first ones we looked at this session was called orienting. And it's literally just being aware of the space around you. Right, so you can have your eyes open and glance around the space. And then if you like, you're welcome to softly close your eyes, or if you prefer to keep them open, that's great. You're just going to cast your gaze in one direction, but allow your peripheral vision to stay open. Another way of orienting to your environment is to listen for the sounds that you can hear around you. So take a moment, I'll be quiet, and just listen to what you can hear, the obvious sounds and maybe what's not so obvious. And then coming into awareness of what part of your body is connected to the earth. So where you're sitting, maybe the pressure of your hands in your lap or on your thighs. And taking notice of how your body feels. What sensations are you aware of when it comes to your connection to the earth? What else are you aware of in terms of sensation in your body? What draws your attention? And remember that pain is always going to be the loudest. So if you feel pain or discomfort in your body, notice that. Your attention will be drawn there. But see if you can not dwell there, but notice other parts of your body too that maybe feel relaxed, comfortable, or at least neutral. So let's take a few more breaths here. Some of the other tools we've been working with are some of the compassion holds, right? The butterfly hug or hugging, holding the head. We also looked at making some sound, vibrating the vocal cords to help relax the nervous system. So many tools to come back to our comfort zone. And now that we have a really direct and a very clear path back to our comfort zone, we can start to expand a little bit and work a little bit more with growth. So push our edges a little bit, or at least kind of creep up to our edges. And this is a little more advanced, right? Because when we move towards our edges, we have to move slowly. It's very easy to step over, right? And to go too far. So we'll move slowly, we'll check in, we'll come back. So we take a step, come back, take another step, come back a little bit. So we're doing a little bit of a dance, right? Never just kind of seeing our destination and taking a big leap to get there, but taking each step and checking in along the way. So we're going to actually start lying down. So you can go ahead and come onto your back. We'll start to warm up from a lying down position. So as you come to lie down, take a moment, let your body settle. You can start with your knees bent, your feet flat on the floor. So our focus today is really going to be on the legs, and the hips particularly. So the front of the hips needs to be open and released to work with the splits, as well as the back of the legs. So we're going to be working with a really nice balanced way of working with the legs today, front and backs, getting some stretch and a little bit of strengthening. So take a moment, check in. How are your legs feeling today, right? So what you bring to the class can have an impact on the way you choose to interact with the class, right? So if you were on a long bike ride, for instance, this weekend, your legs might be really tight today. And that may affect how you choose to move through the practice today. If you did a lot of yoga this weekend and you're feeling really loose and open, that's going to have an impact on your participation today. So take a moment to just notice, how do your hips and legs feel? Is that maybe related in any way to what you did over the last few days? You're checking in so that you can honor your body. There's no need to push. There's no need to force your body at all. In fact, doing that is counterproductive. Right? Our bodies do much, much better when we allow and give space and be patient. Okay, so let's bring one knee up into the chest now. Give a little squeeze. And then release, and we'll bring the other knee in also with a little squeeze. Just checking in with how the hips and lower back feel as we start to bring in some movement. Let's come back to the first leg now, bringing that knee in. And then if it feels right for you, you can go ahead and extend the other leg on the ground. So just doing this much, you might feel a little bit of opening in the front of the hip of the long leg. You want to press down with that heel, so you want to feel the legs active. Relax your shoulders, your face, your neck, your jaw. And firmly but gently squeeze in with the leg that you're holding. Press down and out with the leg that's on the ground. Right, and then let's switch. Same thing here, leg that's on the ground, you're pressing down and out through the heel, squeezing in through the thigh of the leg that you're holding. Thigh toward chest, belly. Okay, and then let's bring that foot to the ground. We'll bend both knees. And we'll bring both knees into the chest. So bring one hand to each knee and draw the knees towards you now, both knees coming in, both knees moving away. And really tune in, so notice. What do you feel? What are you aware of as you do this movement? Do you feel any tightness? Can you feel any stretch or release here? Maybe it's so smooth and easy for you, so notice that if that's true for you. Okay, and then when you're ready, let's bring the feet down to the ground. And we're going to work with a twist, and there's a variety of ways to work with the twist. And this way we're going to take the feet a little wider apart, so at least hip distance apart. So the wider your feet are apart, the more you're going to feel the twist in your hips. The closer your feet are together, the more you'll feel the twist in your spine. So we're really focused on the hips today. So we're going to take the feet a little bit apart. Arms can come to the ground just away from your body. And slowly move your legs in one direction. You might notice the top hip and waist area getting a little bit of stretch. You can raise the arms a little higher if you want a bit more stretch through the side of your body. And then you'll come to center and go to the other side. So we'll alternate sides like that. Going down to the center, any amount that feels right for you. Back to center, down to the side. And back. So you can coordinate your breath if you like here. The main thing is that you're breathing. Take your time. Feel that stretch through the waist, through the sides of your body. Make sure that it's comfortable for your low back. Okay, and then eventually you're going to make your way back to the center. And let's bring the knees back into the chest. And again, repeating that forward and back movement now to realign the spine back to center after the twist. Realign the hips back to center. Forward and back with your breath, if you like, exhaling in and inhaling the knees away. You can give a little extra squeeze if it feels good as you bring your knees in. Just give a little extra squeeze, maybe rock side to side if that feels good. Okay, and then let's come back to the center. So for the splits, we need a lot of flexibility in the legs. We also need some strength in the legs. So we're going to work first with just a little bit of strength as well as opening up the hip flexors a little bit more with the bridge pose. So bridge pose, your feet, you want your ankles underneath your knees are bent. You can bring the arms alongside your body, and we'll do the bridge pose with arms raising overhead as long as that's comfortable for you. So the arms will do this pattern where they reach up overhead and then come back to your sides. And the hips will lift as well as the arms lift. So start by pressing into your feet. You're lifting the arms, and that's going to give a little more stretch to the front of the body, and then lowering the arms down. So do a couple more. Lifting with the breath in if you're coordinating breathing. And dropping down, releasing as you exhale. You can bend your elbows if that feels comfortable as you lift your arms, or reach them straight back overhead. The arms might come to the ground, they might not. Great, now, this time coming down, you're gonna stay down for a moment, and we're going to work on staying in the pose to give the legs a little bit of effort, a little bit of work. And if you want even more work, you can work with one leg at a time, raising up. So we want to have the arms down for this one so they can provide a lot of support under the body. So when you're ready, arms at your sides, you're going to lift the hips up. If it feels right for you, you can wiggle from side to side to roll your shoulder blades in towards each other under you. The arms can be palms up, palms down, or if it's available to you, and it feels comfortable, you can clasp your hands under you. Good, so either way, arms are providing support. Bending the arms is an option too, so you can really dig down with your elbows and upper arms. And then if it feels right for you, you might wiggle your feet in just a little bit closer so that when you stand on one foot, it's more in the center. And again, this is totally optional. You might lift one leg and bend and straighten here. You gotta listen to your body. This is a lot of effort. If you like, you can bring the leg straight down. And when your heel comes to the ground, press into your arms, press into your heel, and then bend the knee. Maybe lift a little more with both feet on the ground. If you need a break before doing the other side, come on down, take a break, and then come back into the pose. And if you're still here and you want to push yourself a little, make sure you're not injuring yourself or creating tension in your body, right? Effort is different from tension. So effort is great, tension not so much. And if you're ready, you can bring the other knee in. Say if you're ready and it would be right for you. And then bend and straighten. So again, elbows can be straight or bent. Your arms are helping to support you. And then maybe slowly lowering the leg. When the heel comes to the ground, press down. And then bring that foot in, lift. And if you've brought your shoulder blades in, you can wiggle them apart and slowly release down. And then just take a few breaths, maybe sighing or that fake yawning or humming, just letting go of the effort of the bridge. A few more breaths like that. Right, and then you can bring your knees into your chest again. Any movement, rocking side to side, going forward and back, or just holding the knees and breathing, so whatever feels good. Right, and then as you're feeling complete with that, letting the feet come to the ground, and we'll work on some gentle non-weight bearing leg stretches. So when we come in to work on the splits later, the weight is going to be of your upper body, right? It's going to be pressing down on your legs and creating more intensity in the stretch. So we're going to warm up here where there's less intensity, where we can really regulate and control the stretch a lot more. So let's bring one knee into the chest. You can bring the hands behind the thigh, squeezing in. And then optional, so this is going to make things a little bit more intense in your stretch, so you can change your mind on this if you like, but if it feels good for now, you can extend the leg on the ground, opposite leg from which one is into your body. Keep that leg active, so your toes point toward the ceiling, your thigh is engaged, you're pressing down, and then slowly take the other leg a little more straight, a little more bent. You can allow the leg to move a little away from you, and then draw it in. Right, and then at some point you might leave the leg in the air and do a few circles with your ankle. Then here you might not even need to hold the leg. You can let go if that feels okay for you. Circling one way, circling the other way. And always staying tuned in to what you notice, right? If we can stay tuned in on the really subtle and minor sensations, we're kind of already tuned in and ready to listen when we get into some bigger movements. Right, so heel pressing up toward the ceiling. And now think about the leg that's up in the air, the sit bone on that leg, reaching down towards the far end of your mat. And then the leg that's straight on the mat, you're pulling that leg up towards your hip. So we're trying to square the hips. One hip moving down, the other hip drawing up. And if you bring your hands even to your hips, you want to feel that they're square. So often we'll kind of twist the hips a little bit. We want to keep them nice and level. And then let's bring that knee into the chest. Right, and then bring that foot to the floor. And we'll switch sides. So now the leg that was straight coming into the chest. Again, the option to extend the other leg straight out on the ground, keeping it active. So heel is pressing into the earth. Your thigh is engaged. And then from here, reaching behind the thigh, move the leg straighter. It does not have to become straight. And then bend it. So it could be fully straight when you stretch it up. It may be quite bent. The point is not to have a perfect shape with your body. The point is to feel the stretch, to move a little toward your edge without creating tension, recognizing if you've gone too far, coming back, settling your body again. If you find yourself out of your comfort zone and you need to find your way back, the breath, the ground, making sound, all of those tools we've been using can be helpful. Holding the leg, and again, we want to square the hips. So there's a tendency on this leg that's up in the air to kind of pull that hip toward the shoulder. Can you feel that in your body? And then see if you can reverse that. So imagine the space between your shoulder and hip growing a little bit on the side where your leg is up. And then pulling up on the other leg. Again, you can bring your hands to your hips and kind of check out, am I level? Right, and then when you're ready, bend the knee and give it a little squeeze. Bring that foot to the floor. Right, bend both knees for a moment. And we'll bring the first leg back in now. So I think that you probably know Happy Baby Pose. It's one that we've done before. We're going to do it on one side only. So you're going to take the hand that's on the same side as the leg. So for me, it's right hand, right leg. I'm going to reach down the inside of my leg with my arm. And I'm going to either take my ankle, or if I can, I'm going to reach for the bottom of my foot. And then I'm going to move, whether I'm holding the ankle or the foot, I'm going to move the sole of the foot as much as possible to point toward the ceiling. All right, so wherever you are, it might look more like this for you, that's fine. We're going to rock a little towards the side, bringing the knee toward the ground, and then back. So rocking to open that hip a little bit. Right, and then when you come back to the center, you can reach both hands, either for the foot or the calf or the ankle or wherever you can reach. And you're going to gently move that leg a little straighter. So you'll feel some stretch in the back of the leg, and you want to really tune in. Am I tensing up to resist that stretch? If that is the case, your nervous system is getting activated, right? having an activated nervous system isn't the end of the world. In fact, we need it to get up and go. But too much activation creates stress in the system. So we want to find a place where we can be here, feel the effort, feel the stretch, but not feel that we're tensing up and resisting. Right, and then let's release. We'll come to the other side. Actually, before we come to the other side, take that leg you were just working with, give it a stretch out. Take the arm on that side, stretch up, and grow that side long. Reach, reach, reach. And then release. You can bring the arm down, bend the knee again, and then other side. So bringing the knee in first, letting it go a little to the side so you can reach the arm down the inside to take the ankle or the edge of your foot. And then a little rocking to the side, back to center, bringing the knee toward the ground. And your shape may look a little different from mine. Your knee may be, way above the ground, or you may have the knee on the ground really easily. Again, the shape is not so important as the experience in your body. All right, coming back to center, you can reach for the foot, the ankle, the calf, whatever is available to you, and then gently, very slowly and gently, drawing that leg straighter and towards your body. Finding that sweet spot where you feel a really nice stretch. It's not too much, not too little. And we all have a slightly different tolerance for the experience of stretch. I like to stretch till it almost hurts. That feels really good to me. And I know others, when they start to feel a little tiny bit of stretch, it's like, ow! So we're all different and our pain tolerance is different. So we really, really, really need to honor ourselves here. Okay, let's release. Again, stretch that leg out. Reach it away as you take the arm overhead, reaching it away. It could be more to the side if that's better for your shoulder. That's absolutely fine. Good. And then arm comes down, bring the knee in, and let's bring both knees in toward the chest. And so stretching both legs toward the ceiling. You can flex both feet. Take the arms overhead or to your sides. Take a breath in and expand. And then exhale, release and squeeze in. Relax your feet, relax your legs, squeeze in tight, and then expand, flex, relax, and draw in. Great, and next time your knees come to your chest, stay there. Any movement that would feel good. Right, and then letting your feet come to the floor. You can stretch your legs out straight or just rest here for a moment with your knees bent. Bring your hands onto your body where you can feel your breath. Relax your jaw, relax your face. Soften as you exhale. And notice. Notice particularly your hips and legs. Any sensations that are present. Whatever you're aware of and can notice right now. Right, so we're going to change positions now. You can start by rolling to your side, making your way upright. And let's come to all fours. So again, however you want to get there. Just get the spine moving a little more after lying and sitting for a while. So cat-cow arching with your inhale, rounding and going to child's pose with your exhale. So go at your own pace, whatever variation of this movement works best for you. Right, so we've already taken several steps towards our goal, Hanumanasana. You might already feel some effects in your body. If child's pose feels good for you, you can rest there in child's pose for a few breaths. Otherwise, maybe be in puppy pose with your elbows on the ground, or you might just keep moving if that feels like a better option for you. So just tuning in. And then when you're ready, we're going to make our way to downward dog. So you'll come up to all fours if you're in child's pose. We're going to bring the hands a little bit ahead of the shoulders, tucking your toes under, lifting up, keep your knees quite bent, let your head come between your arms, and then start to walk in place. So just letting one heel release and then the other, walking in place. Okay, and then let's lower down and do a few circles with the hips. So going from one side to the other and back up. You can go each direction. Let your body enjoy the movement. If a circle doesn't feel quite right to you, maybe it's more of an oval, a figure eight, a star, whatever gets into the areas where you feel tight today. Right. And then eventually coming back to center. And then I'll invite you to come to sit on your heels if that's a comfortable position for you. So if your ankles and knees say no to that, but yes to being up in the high kneeling position, then that would be a better option for you to start in. So finding the position that's going to work best for you, and that will be your starting and ending position as we go through the kneeling sun salutation. So you want to be towards the back of your mat also, by the way, so you've got some space in front of you, if you're even using a mat. Otherwise, just make sure you've got space in front of you. So from here, we're going to lift up. You can breathe in and reach the arms up, and then exhale, child's pose. Inhale, come to all fours. And before we go any further, if you have blocks and you want to use them to help you step forward from downward dog for warrior, you can bring your blocks in under your hands if you have them, or whatever you might be using for blocks. And then lift up to downward dog. And then from downward dog, step one foot forward. Take the other foot, turn it out to the side so that your whole foot can be on the ground for warrior. Press down into that back foot and feel really firm up through the back thigh. And then inhale to lift all the way up, your front knee bending so that it's over your ankle more or less. Great, and then let's release the arms down. Bring the hands to the hips. So here, think about your back hip moving forward a little bit and your forward hip moving back a little bit. If that means you have to change the angle of your back foot to make that happen, that's great. So that your two hip bones are pointing more or less straight ahead. Right, from here, inhale, lift the arms, lift the heart. And then exhale, bring your hands down. Keep pressing into the back heel. Feel that back leg strong and active. And then you're going to lift the heel, come onto the toes, step back to downward dog. And then we'll take the other foot forward. So you're going to step forward and take the back foot, turn it out. Press into the back foot and firm up all through the back leg. And then inhale, lift all the way up. Exhale, arms down. Bring your hands to your hips again. And then again, think about the back hip moving a little forward. Forward hip moving back. Squaring the hips. And then inhale, lift again. Firm legs. Exhale, bring your hands down. Step back to downward dog. Take a couple of breaths here. And then release your knees to the mat or ground. Inhale, arch. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale, high kneeling. And exhale, right back to wherever you started, high or low kneeling. So we'll go through that sequence again. We'll, instead of doing warrior this time, it'll be lunge, slightly different posture. So when you're ready, inhale and lift. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale, all fours. And again, if you want to use blocks and half and handy, you can bring them under your hands here. Tuck your toes under, lift to downward dog. And then one foot coming forward. This time the back foot stays forward, so you're not turning it to the side. And you want to bend your front knee so that it's over your ankle. And you might need to wiggle your front foot a little forward, a little back to feel like you're in a good stable position for lunge. And then option here, you could bring your hands up onto your front knee. And then whichever leg is back, so for me it's my right leg that's back, I'm going to keep my left hand on my left knee, and I'll lift up my right arm and extend that whole line from my back heel to my top fingertips. So if that's available to you, you can do that. Otherwise, hands on the knee or hands on the blocks or ground. When you're ready, coming back down, we'll step back to downward dog and change sides. So again, wiggling your feet until you feel nice and stable here. Bringing the hands up onto the front knee. All of these options are optional. Right? Again, just like in warrior, think about the back hip coming forward a little bit, forward hip coming back. You can sink down a bit if you like. And then raise the arm that corresponds to whichever leg is back. Bending your back knee will give you less stretch. Straightening it will give you more. When you're ready, hands come down if you've brought them up. Step back to downward dog. Release to all fours. Exhale, child's pose. High kneeling, lifting all the way up. And exhaling back to where you started. So we'll keep working with lunge this time. This time we'll keep the back knee down. So taking our next step a little bit towards our eventual possible, maybe fictional goal. When you're ready, coming up with the breath in. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale, all fours. Exhale, downward dog. Remember, follow your own breath if it's a different pace from mine, or just move in a comfortable pace and breathe normally. I'm going to take one foot forward and then bring your back knee down. And you want to make sure that your back knee has enough padding. So I actually have 2 mats under my knee, so I'm good if you want to pick up and fold your mat over or bring a blanket under your knee, you can go ahead and do that. And then we'll shift the weight back onto the back knee. Now, if you're using blocks, you can bring them back with you, or you might just be on your fingertips on the ground. You can also just lift right up here. So the idea in this position is the back knee and hip are lined up. Right? So I'm not forward, I'm not back. Knee is right underneath my hip. And then I'm going to wiggle the front leg till it is straight or semi-straight. And then I'm going to bend the knee, bring the hands to my blocks or ground, and I'm going to come down towards lunge. So you might find that your front foot is a little forward of your front knee. That's totally fine. And then we'll rock back. So when you rock back, this is where we want to make sure the hip isn't going beyond the knee. Front leg is moving straighter. If you want a bit more stretch, you can try lifting your toes up. And we'll rock forward. So foot down, Rock forward, lift your chest a little, rock back. Another way of doing this, if you don't have blocks, is using anything that's firm under your hands, but you could also bring a couple of kitchen chairs on either side of you. You hold the chairs as you go forward and back. Great, and you can hold in each position. So if you come into the lunge pose, right, where the hips are moving down and forward, and we're going to add a little activation or a little muscle engagement here by imagine you're pulling your front heel back towards your back knee, and imagine you're pulling your back knee towards your front foot, and you'll feel your legs working a little harder here. Great, from that nice engaged place, tuck your back toes under, lift into lunge, draw the back hip forward, forward hip back, and then step back to downward dog. And take a few breaths in downward dog. And when you're ready, other foot forward. We're going to lower the knee. And again, you want to get set up so that you're in a good position to rock back and forth. So if you start with your back knee and hip in line, and then take your front leg as straight as it will go, comfortably, and then rocking into your lunge, so coming forward and going back. So your front leg is going to be a little bit further forward generally than you normally would be in lunge. One step closer to the splits. And all of these steps, if you notice, we're taking our time, we're moving gently into and out of the stretch, and really checking in with our bodies. Are you ready? Right? Are you ready? And no is a completely legitimate answer. In fact, I would be surprised if any of us were really ready to do the splits today, but that's not the point. Right, so when you're ready, you can come back into lunge. So again, we're going to think about drawing the back knee forward as we pull back with the front foot on the ground, as if we're trying to pull them towards each other. And then keeping that engagement, tuck your back toes under, lift the back knee. Think about drawing that whole back leg forward, whole forward leg back a little bit, and then stepping back to downward dog. From your downward dog, coming to all fours. Inhale, arching. Exhale, child's pose. High kneeling with an inhale, and then back to where you started. Good, so just take a moment here. We're going to do that sun salutation again one more time. And this time you can repeat what we just did if you like, or we can work on going a little deeper into that stretch. It's a really good idea to have, like I said, some blocks or a couple of chairs to support you. If you don't have that, make do with what you've got, but really honor your body and make sure you're going slowly so that you don't overstretch. So when you're ready, we'll come up with a breath in. Exhale, forward bend, child's pose. Inhale, all fours. Exhale, downward dog. Taking one foot forward, lower the back knee. Shift your weight back again so your knee is underneath your back hip. And here's where I like to be a little bit more upright when I'm working with this pose. So I'm putting my blocks in a taller position. And that's why the two chairs aren't a bad idea, because it keeps your body a little more upright. But if you need to have your fingers on the floor, that's fine. That will work too. One way that I've used to practice this is actually to have my front foot off the mat. And I'm not wearing a sock right now, but if you're wearing a sock, it's going to slide, in fact. Bring my blanket. Now I've got my foot on my blanket and it's just gonna slide. I'm using my hands to control and I can slide back. Right, if you don't have a blanket or a sock on, you can just kind of scooch your foot forward a little bit and scooch back. So it's really, really important that you've got good support, right? You don't want to lose your support and end up inadvertently in the splits. Right, so you're just moving into, moving out of, and then maybe you find a place where you could stay, supporting yourself. So again, front hip is moving back hip is moving forward. It's like we're trying to pull the back heel or back knee forward, front heel back, just as we did in lunge. Make sure you're breathing. When you're ready, you can drag back and bring that knee back in. If you're using props here, you may want to just move them out of the way to come back to downward dog. And then, of course, we'll do the other side. So you're going to step forward with the opposite leg, bring the knee behind you down. If you have been using props and you are ready to move into the other side, you can bring your hands onto your chairs, your blocks, or fingertips on the ground. You're going to move that front leg straighter, right? So it could be heel down on your mat and just kind of scooching it forward, or if you're like me and you have a blanket or a sock on, you can use that to slide forward and back. So we're not going all the way down. There's no need. Right? Just moving into, toward, moving out. You're holding yourself, supporting yourself. And if it feels good to stay for a few breaths, you can go ahead and stay. Again, think about moving back toward the center with your legs. So front leg is moving back by pulling back from the heel. Back leg is moving forward, drawing forward from the knee. Hips are coming towards square. And your arms are working quite a bit here too. So press down into your arms, lift your heart. Good. And then let's come back to all fours. And you may need to move any props that you've been using. Right, and let's do all fours to child's pose. And repeat that a few times. If child's pose is comfortable for you, go ahead and stay for a few breaths. Arms can be out front or back by your feet or wherever they're comfortable, maybe under your head. And breathing, softening, letting go of the effort of the splits. As you breathe in child's pose, feel the back of your body expand and open. Relax your shoulders and arms. They were doing a lot of work here as well. Great. And then when you're ready, come back up to all fours. And you can bring your ankles, cross them over, or if you prefer, just swing your legs to the side. You'll come to sit over your ankles and then come right back down onto the ground. So you can lie down on your back. Knees bent, hands coming onto the body again, wherever you can feel your breath. Letting your body settle now after the effort of the kneeling sun salutations and the work with the splits and lunge. Feel where your body makes contact with the earth and soften into that support. Few more breaths here. And then taking the arms away from the body out to the sides, and we'll come back to that twist which we did earlier in the class. Just note what maybe has changed or what you're aware of now as you do the twist. So again, feet can be a little wider apart, maybe about hip distance, letting the knees gently release to one side. You can maybe turn the head the other way if you like, if that feels good for you. And then back to center and over to the other side. So going at your own pace, go side to side a few times and notice how your hips feel, how your lower back feels, what you're aware of as you do this movement. If you like, you can stay on each side for a few breaths, and you maybe explore where the opposite arm is. So if your knees are to the right, play around with your left arm and see where is the best position to get just the right stretch for you. If it feels better to keep moving, then choose that option. If you've been staying on one side, try the other side as well. And again, play with that arm to find the place where it can be relaxed and feel good and feel open here in this position. And when you're ready, come back to the center. You might want to lift your hips up a few inches and draw your spine back down so it feels like it's aligned again. Spine, head, hips, all in a nice line. And then you can go ahead and bring your knees back into your chest. And if you want, you can bring one hand to each knee and go forward and back as we did earlier, or you might choose any other movement here that would feel good to release your back, release your hips. Starting to wind down a little bit, making our way, taking our steps now towards Shavasana. So just as we take steps to kind of ramp up to our goal pose, we also want to gently taper off the other side. Let our bodies really absorb the practice, the work that we've done, integrating as we head towards Shavasana. So if there's other movement that your body is interested in doing, if it would feel good to stretch or move in any other way, then please feel free to do that. So whatever would feel good right now to you. Maybe a minute or two with that, and then we'll start to wind right down for Shavasana. So take your time. You always have the option, if you like, to sit for Shavasana rather than lying down. Not generally a very popular option, but a good one if you need to stay more alert. So the main thing is that you're comfortable wherever you find yourself, whether it's sitting or lying down. You know, sitting is a nice option when you have something else to do that you need to be alert for afterwards, and you don't want to get all kind of too sleepy. Again, you want to make sure you're warm enough. It's hard to relax when your body is cold. So take your time to get what you need and get settled. And as you're settling and coming into Shavasana and bringing your attention inward, notice how your body feels now. In particular, notice your hips, your low back, your thighs. Maybe noticing any experience of a feeling of energy or tingling or sensation in that area of your body. We focused a lot of our attention there today. And then as you start to settle, tune into your exhalation. Let your mind follow your exhale right to the end. And as you follow your exhale right to the end, feel your body start to sink down and release. So exhale, feel the ground beneath you. Let your body soften into that support. Let go of the effort, all of the effort of our work today with lunge and splits. Letting that go now as you nourish your body through rest. So if our practice is our meal, then Shavasana is our dessert. Sinking down, letting go. And for many people, Shavasana is a welcome, relaxing end to the class. For others, Shavasana can be a challenging time. It's challenging to be still with your own thoughts, your own body. And if that is true for you today, see if you can stay with yourself with patience, honoring the challenge of being still in a world that wants us to move constantly, to be busy all the time. It's a radical act to rest, especially in the middle of the day. So feel your badass self resting right now, right here. Letting go of expectations, letting your body sink down and release. Let your jaw relax a little bit more and all the muscles of your face soften. Your eyes soft, forehead smooth and relaxed. Softening and dropping down. Letting your neck and throat release. Relaxing your vocal cords deep in your throat. Relax your collarbones. Shoulders, arms, letting go. Let your torso be heavy from the back of your shoulders to the back of your waist, to the back of your pelvis. And let your torso also be soft, receiving the breath, opening with ease and releasing completely with each exhalation. Feel your hips sink down even more. Let all the muscles of your buttocks and hip flexors in the front of your hips soften. The front and the back of your thighs. Even the inner and outer thighs. And feel your kneecaps drop and release. Your calves, ankles, and feet letting go. Exhale and drop down even more. Let your feet completely release. So when we work with the splits, we're working with this metaphorical energy of taking a step forward. Taking a small step forward or taking a big step forward, but taking a step forward towards our goals. Taking a step forward on our journey of life in the direction of our choosing. So if we don't guide our own course in the direction of life, then life will take us maybe where we want to go, maybe not where we want to go. And when we can take our steps deliberately on that journey with mindfulness and awareness, even if we never get to our destination, we can absolutely enjoy the growth and the journey along the way. I'll share with you a chant that's about taking the first step. And often that's the hardest step. And if we can make that first step really manageable, like doing warrior as a first step to doing splits, making it manageable and doable. And then the next step emerges, and the next, and the next, and the next. And we keep taking those steps one by one to meet our goal. So this chant is about opening our path, following our path, taking those steps, starting somewhere. Om Gananantva Ganapati Gung Havamahe Kaving Kavinam Upamashravastamam Jyeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashrinvan Nutibis Siddha Sadhanam Shri Maha Ganapataye Namaha. So if you're ready to emerge from Shavasana and move on with your day, you can start to deepen your breath a little. If you've decided that staying a little longer would suit you best today, then absolutely choose that option. And if you're ready to come back into more conscious waking state, taking a few deeper breaths, moving and stretching. Not to say that Shavasana isn't a conscious awake state, because it absolutely is, but a more sort of awake in the world state. And maybe yawn and stretch in a way that would feel good. Maybe rolling to your side when you're ready and If you've chosen to come back to sit, you can do that slowly at your own pace. And then bringing your palms together. So as always, the instruction is to try to apply this theme to your life. So if there's something that you've been wanting to do that feels overwhelming, that feels like a great big project and you don't know where to start, my advice is take one small step. So for instance, for me in the garden, I've got a lot to do in the garden and I've been feeling really overwhelmed, and I wanted to plant a whole pile of carrots yesterday, but I managed to plant a few. I took a small step towards my goal, but that sets the ball in motion. So even if you can't do it all, do a little and get that ball rolling towards your goals. So getting unstuck from our fear of moving forward. Namaste.